your engagement on LinkedIn is rather unique. I've seen you share open job posts and open job roles and get hundreds of likes, whereas some companies will spend a month on a white paper, share it on LinkedIn, and hardly get any engagement. How do you suggest organizations recreate this engagement finesse that you have?
Well, it's nice of you to say that. I don't know that I'm so masterful, but I think it's just a simple principle, which is that the best marketing is sort of helping the people that you seek to serve in some way, and that can be loosely tied to the products and services you sell, or it could be strongly connected. But I think if you focus most on like how do we give value, how do we help the people that we want to serve, that's like the best lens. And so that's always just been my approach to it from every startup I've done.
I'm joined by Adam Schoenfeld, CEO and co-founder of Keyplay, a startup that's raised $3 million to help B2B organizations pursue GTM excellence. By leveraging Keyplay's unique signals and modeling, companies are able to research and prioritize accounts at scale without the manual work. Adam, thanks for your time. This interview's been a long time coming, so I won't delay it further. I've got 5 questions for you. Let's roll.
Bring them on.
Adam, prior to Keyplay, you and your co-founder launched PeerSignal, a site that publishes free datasets and market research for B2B sales and marketing professionals. PeerSignal has allowed you to build an active community, amass a sizable LinkedIn audience, and organically garner a newsletter of over 14,000, all in less than 18 months. It started as a research and data collection project, but ultimately led you to identifying a software addressable problem: curating ideal account lists at scale. By working with hand raisers from the PeerSignal community, you guys built a product to serve the need, generate 100K in ARR without a website or an app, and springboard what's now known as Keyplay. Was building the audience before the product your game plan all along? Were you just actively looking for a problem worth solving, or was this all a fluke?
Maybe mostly a fluke. Well, no, there's a little bit of design, but it was a lot of kind of trying to create option value and not exactly knowing what the master plan was. I think the pieces now, when we're here in sort of spring of 2023, they start to look like they fit together. PeerSignal is this market research resource, really. It's not a product so much as it is a community, a media company, I like to think of it as, where we publish a newsletter and then we have some data sets behind that people can come in and explore for free. And KeyPlay is a SaaS business and it powers PeerSignal. And so there's a nice flywheel there where, PeerSignal builds the audience and credibility that brings people into KeyPlay, and then KeyPlay data and technology powers PeerSignal and makes it possible for us to deliver our research. But we didn't envision it exactly like that from the get-go. We started PeerSignal kind of like as a side project just to be in the space, adding value. We knew we wanted to do something for like modern sales and marketing. And we thought, hey, well, let's publish research. And we started looking at PLG companies. We thought that was like the most interesting trend. And it's expanded since then. So it was more like, let's kind of put ourselves in the right place, and then we'll discover from there an opportunity to build a SaaS product. We didn't know what the KeyPlay side was going to be until 6+ months into actually just working on PeerSignal.
With the launch of Keyplay, it seems like you've decided to keep PeerSignal as a separate product. Owning an independent media or a value-add entity like PeerSignal in a niche category isn't a new strategy. It's been used by the likes of companies like HubSpot and Zapier. Can you share a bit about the decision to keep these two entities separate? And how do you plan to balance the time, money, and resources required to grow both entities simultaneously? Why not just release a product under the PeerSignal brand?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you're right. There are some role models for this. A lot of them happen through acquisition, like Outreach bought Sales Hacker, Zapier bought MakerPad, Pendo bought Mind the Product, HubSpot bought The Hustle. So there's a lot of examples of software companies buying like media companies or communities, once they're mature. And we decided to do that from the ground up. As I mentioned, we didn't have the exact master plan on how the pieces would fit together, but we thought this standalone like media and community property would have value. And so we wanted to keep the brand separate because they really have different missions and different audiences. PeerSignal is like market intelligence, and KeyPlay is sales intelligence. So really, KeyPlay actually seeks to serve a much smaller subset of the market that PeerSignal wants to serve. And so that's what guided us on having them be two separate brands. We thought that if we like put it all under one brand, it might kind of dilute one or the other or cause confusion. So we took on a different flavor of confusion, which is like being a small startup running two properties.
The hardest part about building a startup is garnering that initial momentum. You've hacked your way to traction by focusing on providing value, no strings attached, pure intentions from the jump. You've talked about posting zero-click content on LinkedIn to drive much of your engagement and community building. Because of this approach, because of this apparent selflessness and lack of an agenda, your engagement on LinkedIn is rather unique. I've seen you share open job posts and open job roles and get hundreds of likes, whereas some companies will spend a month on a white paper, share it on LinkedIn, and hardly get any engagement. How do you suggest organizations recreate this engagement finesse that you have?
Well, it's nice of you to say that. I don't know that I'm so masterful, but I think it's just a simple principle, which is that the best marketing is sort of helping the people that you seek to serve in some way, and that can be loosely tied to the products and services you sell, or it could be strongly connected. But I think if you focus most on like, how do we give value, how do we help the people that we want to serve, that's like the best lens. And so that's always just been my approach to it from every startup I've done. And I think that helps you build credibility and community. And then from that, if you believe in it and you commit to it the long term, some of that will flow downstream to creating revenue.
You've stated in the past that there's this trend of return to rigor in sales pipelines. Companies are becoming more cautious about purchasing software and are rather focused on efficient, lean ways to procure active buyers. I can say I was surprised by the accuracy of this statement, because that's exactly why I came across KeyPlay myself. Our CRO had just initiated a return to rigor effort, and we needed a way to rigorously identify ideal accounts at scale. It's evident you're very in tune with the needs of your target audience and their buying influence. How are you maintaining that connection going forward? To what degree will it impact the development of your product? I think it was Steve Jobs who has said, a lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. You kind of have to balance between what the customer says versus what you really think they need.
Yeah, that's very true. I'll never argue against a Steve Jobs quote. I think that's it's true. It is a balance. I think we've tried to be a very community and customer led company, but of course, there is this line where you don't want to just build the features that people say they want, right? You want to try to solve the problems and be relevant for the time that we're in, and that's kind of this idea of return to rigor. Is we're in a challenging climate. Everybody's tightening their budgets and applying more thought and care to every purchase, and so I think the people we want to serve are sales and marketing teams, and I think they're all feeling that. So we're trying to design our solution in a way that works for the market right now, and tries to help people get on the other side of that. And so I think we want to just always be listening to that and staying in tune, with what's relevant right now. I think, we don't want to get in our own heads about roadmaps and visions. We first and foremost want to stay connected to where people's needs are and where they're going.
Yeah, I think it boils down to serving the market and using customers as a medium of understanding the conditions that market is in. So that's the way I see it, at least.
Yeah, like all the answers come from listening and kind of trying to understand what the customer's problems are.
You have a track record of launching and growing software companies, with KeyPlay being your fourth initiative. You originally began your founding journey with Cheddar Media, a service that helped businesses run promotions on social media. You then co-founded and led Simply Measured, a social analytics startup that was acquired by Sprout in 2017. And I guess that wasn't fulfilling enough, so you co-founded, bootstrapped, and sold email reply software SwiftRock to Drift in 2018. It looks to be that KeyPlay is the culmination of these past founding experiences and possibly your largest undertaking yet. What did you take away from each of your past companies, and how have those learnings helped you build the momentum that you have with KeyPlay? With SwiftRock, your goal was to build a sustainable multi-million-dollar cash flow positive business with steady growth, rather than a billion-dollar unicorn. Why not repeat that playbook for KeyPlay? You had customers before the product. You certainly could have bootstrapped once more with KeyPlay.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say that whatever it reads on paper, the behind the scenes was a lot more tumultuous, ups and downs. In fact, the first startup was a complete shutdown. So we literally burned the investor money, produced no value. Lots of ups and downs through all those companies. And when I did Sift Rock, I wanted to kind of go away from venture backed kind of big thinking and do something that was in a niche market, bootstrapped, really controlled. And that was really fulfilling. And I learned a lot from that. I didn't want to do the same playbook with KeyPlay because we're going after a bigger market and I wanted to take a bigger swing. And so that did require some capital. I don't know like what the future holds in terms of, are we going to be on the traditional venture path, like right to Series A, B, C? Are we going to kind of look more efficient and sort of profitable earlier? I don't know yet, but I do know that it's something that we want to do for a longer time. And so that was like the lens is how can we start something that we could sustain for multiple decades possibly. And so that's really my goal, is to have something that we can go far with and not necessarily get the biggest, but that we can last and build something that endures for our customer.
For sure. I'm a firm believer that ordinary never leads to extraordinary outcomes, and KeyPlay certainly doesn't have an ordinary beginning. So I'm excited to see where things end up.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll try not to be too basic. We'll always try to like break down a few assumptions, and we're launching something this week that has a very different pricing model. So yes, that's part of our ethos, is to try to break the model where we can.
Adam, appreciate your time. Any final thoughts?
No, thanks for having me. I enjoyed how Riverside, before I logged in, said, check your hair, and then crossed it out and said, check your mic. Shout out to Riverside. Got to give these Riverside people some love.
Yeah, sponsor me, please.